Hello, everyone. Today we are with Inane Dragon, who has graciously come on today for an interview. So, thank you, Inane, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me on and giving me a chance to pretend to be making content without actually having to put in the effort.
Well, my pleasure. I understand that. First, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Um, so that's probably the most boring thing I could talk about. In short, I am an engineer who got fed up with seeing bullshit constantly and not talking about it. So I made myself a YouTube channel and started talking about bullshit like pseudoscience, medical quackery, and religion, of course.
So, you're basically wait, an engineer who talks about the. Are you really GE in disguise?
No, I am not.
Okay,
I have longer hair than he does.
okay.
And I'm
I'm
pretty
sorry.
sure we're in different disciplines. I think he's a mechie. And
No, he's software.
okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, he's the software side of things. I'm the hardware, computer electronics side of things. Don't ask me to code something because it'll take forever.
Yeah, I can sympathize there. Um, but you a Christian before you became an atheist?
I am in that rare breed, along with Logic and a few others, who was born and raised an atheist. Um,
Okay.
my mom encouraged us to keep an open mind. My dad simultaneously had this weird mix of you should believe whatever you become convinced is true based on good evidence, even if that means you become a Christian, but also you should read the Bible and understand the Bible because you're an atheist living in a Christian society. And the most important thing you can learn in life is to know thine enemy. That's how he phrased it
Okay.
because he considered Christians to be hostile to everyone else, and for good reasons.
Yeah, I can't imagine how anyone would come to that conclusion.
Especially not a former Pentecostal preacher, something that he has in common with Godless Iowan.
Okay. Yeah, I can't imagine that. So I guess, I don't need to ask the next question on the list of because I wasn't sure. So if you did answer, I was going to ask what made you become an atheist, but I guess, yeah, kind of got answered there.
What got my dad to become an atheist was really diving into the scripture after his time in the army, um, and after getting out of, because he grew up in middle of bumfuck nowhere where they play. I'm sorry, is this a clean language
Yeah,
show or
fuck, crappity, fuck, shit, god damn
okay?
it, fuck. There you go. Yeah,
Answer received. So
yeah,
he grew up in bumfuck nowhere, the mountains of West Virginia, as a son of a farmer, the 16th child to survive past the age of 1, to give you an idea of what kind of backwards, ignorant part of
yeah,
the US he was coming out of. So as he started seeing the rest of the world and really reading the Bible cover to cover, he first went into kind of that hating, still believing the guy exists, but holy shit, is he evil?
yeah.
Because that was one of his big harps on the Bible, was how evil the main characters were.
Hmm.
The massacres, the genocides, the rapes.
Yep. Best way to make an atheist is to have them read the Bible.
Yep.
If they're Christian, that's right there. I don't know of a much better way to do it.
And my mom was a lapsed Catholic, and so her and my dad met up on a job actually, and he was struggling with leaving the faith at the same time that they started kind of hanging out and talking. So it was them coming in out of religion that brought them together as a couple.
That's never heard of a couple coming together for that, but hey, it works.
Yep.
Um, no. Hi, Mrs. Snarky. Um, next question is, how did you come up with the name Inane Dragon? Like, is there a fancy story behind that?
All right, so the biggest part of the reason why I'm named Inane Dragon, and hello, Mrs. Snarky and Godless Eye, when I see you there, is that I'm terrible with names. I really, really suck at naming things. I mean, have you looked at the videos on my channel? Those names are atrocious. So part of the answer is I was trying to come up with something, and that was all I had. But it's also, I like dragons. And I wanted a reminder both to myself and others not to take me or the subject too seriously. It really is inane. Don't get yourself bent out of shape hearing my opinions, because I might be wrong. And last but not least, it's a reference back to Carl Sagan and his invisible dragon parable.
Okay, that's really cool. And next, I kind of talked to you about before the interview, but you did an S.J. Thomason video. Are you seriously that much of a masochist? What made you even consider doing that? I mean, yeah.
So, first of all, there's the obvious answer that every one of us here who has ever made a video can attest to, which is that questions for atheists responses are some of the lowest hanging, easy to do videos that you can conceive of. It's trivial to come up with answers to questions. They do half of the work for you. The other reason why I chose this one in particular to tackle is a two-pronged thing that I have been getting sick of lately. And our side's a little guilty of one of these two prongs as well. And that is this notion that somebody can't answer a question. Of course we can answer a question. You just might not like the answer. Our answer might be wrong even, but we can bloody well answer it. So never, ever come out with this unanswerable, can't answer. If you have to put that in the title as clickbait, at least put in a preposition, a explanation, some exposition on why it can't be answered. Like, it can't be answered because to answer this, you have to drop these prerequisites. I can say a Christian can't answer certain questions. Like, no Christian has ever solved the problem of evil. They've only ignored it or bullshitted it away with a bunch of circle jerk. Not even circular reasoning. No, it's just a circle jerk. They haven't solved the problem of evil, and I can say that because they would have to drop conditions of what their God is.
Yeah.
But I better damn well explain it if I'm going to say Christians can't answer this question.
Yeah.
It's on me to explain why someone can't answer it. So that was part of it. Was I really latch on when somebody says I can't do something, I'm going to go do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And the second half, and S.J. Thomason is not alone in being part of this problem, is that it's really been getting to me lately just how fundamentally dishonest you have to be an apologist, unless you're one of these really esoteric type apologists who has an entirely different philosophical framework that has no basis in what the rest of us are talking about or the world we're dealing with, like the Thomists and their Aristotelian Aquinine bullshit. They can be honest and go, well, this is what we really mean because of this epistemological precondition and this ontological thing. And we can go, okay, we disagree with you on a basic philosophical level, so we don't care.
Yeah.
Because you don't care about evidence or reality, you care about pure abstract reason crazy bullshit.
Yeah.
But S.J. Thomason, I don't know if you made yourself watch my video, which was like the 11th video on that same set of questions.
I think I've seen most, if not all, responses to it. So
I
did watch yours.
In there, I focused on demonstrating as often as I could and bringing it home as often as I could that she was lying, that she was being dishonest, that she knew answers were out there, and that they had been out there for years, often as books, entire books written on the topic. So that's why I went after S.J. Thomason on that one, is I'm getting sick of the lying.
Yeah. Um, the next question I have is you as you mentioned, and I saw is you like to go after like woo in that. Is there a particular type of woo you like to go after?
Um, I don't know if I've gone after enough woo to have like a favorite, but it's always gotta be something for me to enjoy doing it. It's gotta be something I can get into the technicals of, like flat eartherism. You can talk about the laws of physics and all the other stuff that they're not understanding and that they're misrepresenting, or medical quackery, crystal healing. I can go on for hours about that if you give me a baseline to start from and explain what the problems are with claiming that holding a voodoo crystal or whatever in your hand is going to heal you.
Oh.
But that more completely baseless out there woo, like Hyperionism, the morgue official guy who talks about how we're nothing but mathematical perfected sine waves
Oh,
and all that. I can have fun with that once in a while,
yeah.
but that is a hard topic to handle because it's just shit he's pulling out of his ass.
Yeah, exactly. I watched that video you did of that, and I mean, your responses were really well. I just was like, I still don't even understand half of what the guy was saying because I'm like, that does not work that way.
Yeah.
It's like reality doesn't do that. You're wrong.
And before we lose it, Mrs. Snarky, I can in fact answer the question, where are your car keys? Knowing enough about you and Godless Iowan's bizarre fetishes, they're approximately 3 inches past his rectum.
Okay, that was I did not expect that comment in this interview. Yeah, like I said, you gotta love live, right? You never know what's gonna happen. But yeah, okay. What are some of your what is your favorite type of theological argument to debunk? Like, is it like the ontological, the teleological, the whatever, or the cosmological one? Like, what's your favorite one to go after?
My favorite one to go after is usually arguments from design, particularly irreducible complexity in biology, talking about, in particular, attempts to deny evolution as part of their theology. Partially because I think it's a really fucking important thing to finally kill. We need to get people out of this level of ignorance. It's probably contributing to issues like antibiotic resistant bacteria, because if people took evolution seriously, they'd take their fucking drugs enough.
Yeah.
But also because, like I was saying with the Wu thing, it's something that their arguments have to be related to, at least tangentially, a field of science where I can actually grapple with the topic and get into what is right and wrong about what they're saying and what the correct answers really are, as opposed to it being something completely wishy-washy, like with the argument from fine-tuning. We can actually turn the argument from fine-tuning around and turn it into an argument for atheism.
Yeah.
Because God could literally create any universe God wanted to and allow us to exist within it.
Yep.
So fine-tuning is unnecessary if there's a God.
Yeah. Yeah, I've actually never thought of it. That's such a really good point there. I've never thought of it in that way.
In fairness, I stole that from Sean Carroll and Martimer81. Sean Carroll is a great writer on physics and makes it all very approachable if anyone wants to start reading his books. Yeah. And if you aren't subscribed to Martimer81, y'all can just leave now.
Okay, I wouldn't go that far because they might not have heard of them. I mean, I didn't hear of Martimer until I want to say about 2 months ago. So yeah, they might not have heard of them. So don't get too mad. You know, but yeah, Mortimer, he's really good.
He's a legit professor of physics, so
I didn't know he was actually
he's worth listening to.
Okay, I didn't know he was an actual professor of physics.
Yeah, he teaches physics.
That explains why he's so freaking smart. Okay, that explains everything there. Um, on Woo, I didn't see one on there. Maybe I missed it. But have you ever thought about going after spirit science?
I keep going back to spirit science and looking at his work, and it's either so long and rambly that I'd have to dedicate a series just to one video half the time. And on top of that, he goes all over the damn place. There probably will be at least one spirit science video in the future. It's just a matter of finding the right video to respond to. And in a lot of cases, I warn myself off of a lot of like his backlog because I can't possibly beat Martimer or Cool Hard Logic's takedowns of that guy.
Yeah. Oh,
so
yeah,
for his older stuff that Martimer has already covered or that Cool Hard Logic has laughed at, I will almost certainly not touch that and just link people to those videos if they have questions about it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pull what Armored Skeptic did and try and drag up his older work and basically create a Martimer ripoff.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to go through and watch them because I've considered, like I have things to say about them, but I'm going to need to go through and rewatch Martimer's things, and see if maybe it's kind of the same things I have to say, and if so, then I probably won't even do that. But I've considered going through video 1 to video current, just for kind of just for some easy just takedown videos. Because he's very easy to take down.
Yeah.
But I don't want people to be like, oh, you ripped off Mortimer. He made kind of the same arguments. Be like, well, okay, because I've watched some of his. I think one of the first ones I saw, both Cool Hard Logic and Mortimer, was actually the Hollow Moon one, and they were both very, very well done.
They're actually the Cool Hard Logic ones are actually intended as compliments to Martimer's.
Yeah, well, I can see that. I can easily see that. But yeah, that's the ones that I thought about doing. But like I said, if Mortimer does it better, I don't want to try and touch it, because I don't want people to be like, oh, you're ripping them off and you're a second-rate ripoff.
Even if I weren't trying to rip him off, I already know that in a lot of cases, if I went after, for example, the Moon one, I know I'd end up unconsciously pulling arguments and jokes from Martimer and Cool Hard Logic, and not even in the sense of being a call out, like mentioning space Jews. Sure, no problem, no argument. That's a great callback. But I'd be literally making the same point, but doing it in my voice.
Yeah, and that's one that I'm worrying on in doing that, because with the whole space Jews thing, I would have been like, wait, wasn't that covered in History of the World Part 1, and then play the clip of the Jews in space? That would have been my whole that would have been my whole joke. But I think Cool Hard Logic did something.
Yeah, either Cool Hard Logic or Martimer had the space Jew clip.
Yeah, and so I'm like, I wouldn't be adding anything to it. That would just be a complete ripoff. But I mean, it's the only joke you can make about it,
Godless Iowans giving you shit for how you're pronouncing Martimer's name.
Mortimer. It looks like Mortimer. I'm sorry, it really does. It makes me think of Mortimer, the Mortimer, yeah, whatever.
So Secular, to answer your question of who I would kill first, Armored Skeptic or the Straw Man, it's a tough call, because on the one hand, there's a natural antipathy between dragons and knights. On the other hand, straw men are just so damn flammable. I mean, you get the pretty fire, and with the amount I'm sure that Godless Iowan drinks, especially now that he's been making videos about all kinds of bullshit, he's gotta have some pretty colors when he goes up.
Yeah, I'm staying out of this argument. GI, you're on your own. Rule number 1, you don't screw with the dragons. And I don't have the what is it? The Flute of Olympus, I believe it is, to put him to sleep. So yeah, you're on your own. That's I don't even know where that's at anymore. Last I heard, it was in the movie Flight of Dragons. If you have not watched that movie, please do. It is awesome. Great 80s movie there. So if you could take down one like apologist, like one really big name apologist, who would you want it like in like either debate format or in a video? Who would it be and why?
So, in a debate format, and hopefully not too strict of a debate because I hate formal debates, but let's say actual face-to-face format.
Okay.
I think it would have to be Ken Ham, so that when he makes the argument, were you there? I could just look him straight in the eyes and go, yes, I was. And when he tried to call me on lying, I'd go, dude, that's your whole shtick. If you get to lie, so do I.
Yeah.
If you get to make shit up, I get to make shit up. How do you know I wasn't there? You weren't there. I know I was there. Your God wasn't there either, so stop lying about that. I was there. I saw. No God. Sorry.
Yeah, it was Bobo, the god who did all of that. And if you sin, you're committing bohokamandata. Yeah. I did a Facebook post calling out the whole, well, Jesus was perfect, so you should believe in him, and if not, you're sinning and you just want to sin. And I basically came up with gibberish and said, yeah, that's what that was. It was a fun bit.
As for making the one I'd want to make a response video about, to answer the other prong of your question, I have to go with that most special and sacred of apologists. The first one I ever got to see taken apart and ripped to shreds, John Morris Pendleton.
Oh, God,
chemist, auto mechanic, scientist, father, mother. I don't even remember what all he called him. Pterodactyl hunter.
Yeah. Oh,
sadly, it's tough as hell to find any of his old lectures.
Yeah, I tried because I was like, oh, I'll just, that was the first series I watched, was that, and then Hello, My Name is Kit Hope, and I will not lie, Logic was a huge inspiration for me, and I kind of have if you've ever seen my videos, I kind of have a little bit of a Logic kind of style to me, or at least try to, because I like his style; it's really good, and that's why it's bad jokes, bad puns, and just straight up line by line responses. I mean, that's kind of he was a big influence for me. So,
he's definitely been a big influence on me in the development of my channel as well.
Yeah.
He's the one who reminded me of the importance of having citations for everything. Which is why you might notice my videos tend to be, they're not always, but they tend to be overloaded with citations.
Yeah, and I'm very much, if you want to call me on something, I'll provide you the citation right then and there. I'm not gonna I'll give you what I have.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask for it. I got nothing against that. Him, which by the way, I think it's 2:00 Central. I have him coming on. It's like 1 or 2 Central, I believe, coming on here on the 7th of July. So tune in for that. I managed to get Logic for an interview, so I'm happy.
He loves helping out the newcomers.
I messaged him and talked to him, and he was just like, I was expecting a no. I was like, okay, if he says no, I understand he's really busy. He's like, it would have to be, next month. I'm like, Logic's coming on my channel. Logic's coming on my channel. I was fanning so hard.
I was going to say, if it weren't for the fact that that phrase bugs him, that seems like a yes senpai moment, to use the vernacular of the underage.
Yeah, I just was, because I've looked up to him for so long. He was one of the people who is a huge influence in making my channel and doing the content I do. He was a huge influence in that. Him, Aaron Raw, and Matt Delhoney. were three big influences for me.
Those are some good influences.
Yeah. So yeah, I have a lot of respect for Matt because his story is similar to mine, except I actually never made it to seminary. I was studying to go, and that's why I like to focus on theological arguments, because I know them, I can debunk them pretty easily. But yeah, the next question, and I'm kind of getting towards the end of the question, so Chad, if you have questions for him, ask them now. But the next question I have is, what in your opinion is the best argument for God? I know they're all really bad, but which one is the least worse?
So, to me, the arguments that are the least bad are the first cause. I think they're still bad.
Yeah.
But the first cause arguments, particularly within Thomas Aquinas's work that the classical theists like to use, because there it really is. I think their philosophical framework doesn't work, but there's a legitimate grounds for saying, hey, the reason that we're rejecting these arguments is because of our different presuppositions, our different framework in how we view the world versus how they view the world and what they see as being the way that things need to be, so to speak. The best argument in terms of convincing theists and keeping them convinced and happy that the world is created by God has got to be the argument from design, or to put it another way, look at the trees.
Yeah.
Look at the banana. How it's perfectly shaped to fit into my hand. And it has this lovely semi-grip finish. And a visual indicator of whether or not it's ready to be eaten. Green, too early. Yellow, just right. Brown, too late.
Yeah, you actually just answered what my next one was on the worst one.
Well, no, that's the best argument.
Oh, I thought you were
for keeping believers believing.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
From what I've seen, most believers just gravitate to the various arguments from design, whether it's, look at the trees, whether it's fine-tuning, that cluster of look at how clearly the universe shouts that there is a God. That seems to be what keeps most theists convinced.
Yeah. And then you actually sit down and look at it, and it's like only an incompetent idiot would call this would make this design. I mean, if I've said this before many times, if God was a designer, he would be laughed out of any engineer's office.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can say this firmly, and I have said it in at least one video talking about the argument from design.
Yeah.
If God ever showed up at my workplace and presented as his CV the animals on Earth or the design of the universe, I'd have to tell him that he wasn't ever getting fucking hired.
Yeah.
I wouldn't hire him to pull a cable, never mind design a complex system.
Exactly. I mean,
he's incompetent.
Yeah, I said this. I would be. I would if he was a drafter for me or an engineer, and he laid that design on my desk for final approval for me to send it out. If I was the boss, I would laugh him out of my office, have a pink slip handed to him, and then I would be calling up every engineer I know and say, "Hey, don't hire this guy. He's laughably incompetent." Because one or two mistakes, okay, I can understand.
Sure,
that happened.
But you start running the damned laryngeal nerve down the neck of the giraffe, around the heart, and back the fuck up? No, son. That's just begging for a problem. There are way too many flaws with that. That's a single mistake that would ruin everything.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've said this before. My analogy for the giraffe neck, which is usually a good one, I like to go to that for why it isn't intelligently designed. And they're like, well, how do you know? I go, one, it takes long to get a signal. I said, all right, fine. If I ran from a light switch to the light instead of going directly up the wall to the light, running the wiring, like you're supposed to, I decided to run it around the house 3 times and then run to the light.
Now, the most important thing to remember is that first you run it past the light. You start out by making that straight run to the light, but then you move it over an inch or so that it doesn't actually hook up. And then you run it out to the air conditioner and back round.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's probably a little bit more accurate. But yeah, you don't do that. You make it as short as possible, because the longer the circuit has to run, the more time it takes.
The only reason you would add length to a circuit is to have slack in the case that you have like you're building an automobile, so you know there's going to be some flexing and bending from time to time. Yeah. So you build in a little bit of slack so that it can flex with whatever it's working through, like the cables running through a car door to give you all of your nice, handy electronic controls in the car door. Yeah. You put some slack into that cable run, because that cable run needs it. Yeah,
exactly. But not like running from a light switch to a light. You don't need that. And that would be like
straight.
Yeah, you just go bump, bump. It's the quickest way. You don't run around the house 3 times and then run it up. It doesn't make sense to do that. And that's why I always point that, like, well, that would be a bad design. Another argument I love to point out is, well, the Milky Way and Andromeda galaxy are on a direct collision course. That's absolutely stupid. I mean, you got basically a mega fuck ton of space dust and debris.
Sadly, the Christians have a perfect answer for that. Well, by the time that collision happens, will have already gone through the second coming. God's divine plan will be complete, and there won't be anything to worry about anymore.
But how do they know that?
Because God told us so in an old dusty book.
Well, no, God told us that no man knows the time nor the hour of the coming of the Lord, not even the Son.
No, let's be fair. That was in one of the various rewrites that they did later. Officially, if you read the earlier stuff before the rewrites, it says that it'll happen before the last of the 12 apostles die.
Oh, well, then he should have already come. Yeah.
Well, see, either way, you're screwed. This is why the Catholics, I think it's the Catholics, I might be getting this a little wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's the Catholics have the doctrine of the wandering Jew. There's some poor cursed Jew out there who just cannot fucking die. So that one person from the generation of the apostles is still out there.
Yeah, I think that's.
And you know what? I'm pretty sure that it's got to be George Soros, because if you've been alive for that long, you've accumulated some damn wealth.
Yeah.
I mean, just interest alone.
Yeah.
Hell, he probably has a little bag of old Greco-Roman coins and whatnot that he's gathered up just as his regular spending money. And he's just kept it. So now he can go, oh, shit, I need to buy a new Lamborghini. I guess that's 2 gold ducats. Okay, that would have bought me dinner a couple of centuries ago, but thankfully I don't need to eat because I can't die until Jesus comes back.
Yeah.
Lamborghini, please.
Yeah, which, like I said, the whole collision course thing is the way I had used it as an analogy. If they don't well, I don't know. I wouldn't be the one. I said, all right. You got a train on a track. You got 2 trains on a track facing each other, running a direct collision course. There's no break for them to get off, and they're running full speed and can't stop.
And by design, they don't have brakes.
Yeah, and they don't have brakes. Yeah, that's why I said they can't stop. Like it's impossible for them. Their brakes are broken, or they don't have.
Well, no. That's why I was making it clear that by design they can't do it. Yeah, because if the brakes were broken, then you could argue that that's not the designer's fault. Brakes happen.
Yeah, all right, yeah, true. It was designed without brakes, and they're on direct collision course, full speed. Would you call that a good design? Well, of course, everybody goes, no, that's horrible design. I go, that's the Andromeda Milky Way. No designer would do that. Mm-hmm. In fact, a designer wouldn't even have the galaxies move, because that would keep them stationary and just keep them spinning, which would mean there isn't going to be a collision.
Unless the designer was actually testing things, like he wanted to see all the different ways. A designer of a science experiment who didn't give a fuck about Earth and the little hairless apes on it, that you could hypothetically convince me of. You cannot, at this point, I am an absolute 100% positive atheist when it comes to the intervening gods who give a fuck about humans. Exactly. That is demonstrably false.
Exactly. I mean, the best someone might be able to convince me of, and I don't think it's even accurate, so I don't know if it would ever be convincing to me. But the only one that someone can do that would even be remotely convincing for me of any god would be a deistic god that doesn't have any bearing on us, doesn't care. It's just literally he just said, "Big Bang, go." All right, I'm done.
A deistic god that doesn't care, you can't convince me of, because I'm of the view that if it's indistinguishable from nothing, it is nothing.
Yeah,
So I dismiss the deism out of hand. But you could at least make a philosophical argument for such a concept.
yeah, and like I said, that's like about the only one I really think I could see anyone convincing me of. But I'm the same way of, well, why if there was a God to do that, then
Right.
it doesn't matter. Um, in that case, so I'm right there with you. I'm just saying, if I was to be convinced of anyone, that's probably the closest I am to any God.
Now you give me the right evidence, and I could believe in, say, gods like the Roman gods or the Greek gods, that these
Yeah,
ethereal, crazy ass beings that just like to fuck with the world. They don't really care what happens ultimately.
yeah,
They just made it as a playground when they get bored, somewhere to leave their kids until they mature. I don't know.
yeah,
That I don't think I'm 99.999% convinced that those gods cannot exist, because there's no medium for spiritual things to interact with the real world.
yeah,
Physics has ruled that out at this point.
yeah. Yeah, I gotta point out something Secular said. He said Jesus must be crazy in bed if it takes him this long for him to come.
Look, at this point, Jesus is making the poor girl chafe so badly. I mean, you want to talk about stigmata.
Yeah,
Well, Mary Magdalene can tell you a few things about some stigmata.
yeah. The next question, yeah, we kind of got sidetracked there, although it might actually correlate for what you've said. This might be, might correlate to what we have been talking about. But what, in your opinion, obviously a flip side of what you think, in your opinion, might be the best argument? What, in your opinion, is the worst argument for God?
The worst argument from God has to be the ontological argument, because it starts with the premise: we define God as a being that necessarily exists. Therefore, a being that necessarily exists could be imagined to exist in a possible world. But because this being is necessary, then it must necessarily exist in all possible worlds. Our world is a possible world, therefore God exists because we defined him as a thing which must exist. Well, actually, now we can actually reverse this test. Can we come up with a possible world that doesn't have God in it? Because if God is a necessary being, then God must exist in all possible worlds. So if I can imagine a possible world without God, and I live in one,
Yeah.
then the ontological argument not only fails, but we've reversed it and falsified the existence of God as defined in the ontological argument. No necessary beings can exist because we can imagine existence without necessary beings.
Yeah, isn't that the one that, and I've heard it worded this way, I think, before too. You might be able to correct me if I'm wrong, but the one that it's like, oh, I can conceive God, I can't conceive anybody greater than God, so therefore God.
That is probably the most condensed form of it, but basically, okay. Yes.
All right.
To go back to the original Anselm's ontological argument, it's we define God as being the maximally great being, the being that which nothing greater can be imagined.
Yeah. And guess what? You want to know how I always respond to that? Well, I can imagine a big giant dragon eating whatever you imagine. So therefore, my dragon is greater, so you're going to worship my dragon.
But see, I can imagine something even greater than where they ultimately try to go to with that is that they then define this God into existence by saying, if he's truly the most greatest thing that could possibly be imagined to exist, well, something that exists in reality is greater than something which exists in the imagination alone.
Oh, yeah.
Therefore, the God which I can imagine, the maximally great being I can imagine, is a God that exists in the real world. Therefore, God exists in the real world,
and
which is stupid.
Then they have
that's why they
if he exists in the world, if he exists in the material world as you claim, then there must be material evidence. I'd like to see it, please. Oh, and your Nobel Prize for proving the existence of God, because you would definitely win a Nobel Prize for that.
So honestly, as much as I know I'm seeing some people talking about the look at the trees argument, which I agree is a pretty bad argument, but the worst one by far has got to be any form of the ontological argument.
Yeah.
In no small part because theists keep going, it's one of the best, it's one of the greatest. Inspiring Skeptical Pork, who is another great small atheist YouTuber everyone should check out if they haven't heard of him yet.
Yeah, let me actually get a link for that.
Skeptical Pork did a great video picking apart Inspiring Philosophy's version of the ontological argument. And Inspiring Philosophy was saying, this is the best argument out there for the existence of God. And Inspiring Philosophy is supposed to be this high-hanging fruit motherfucker when it comes to apologetics, to the point where Martimer was warned off from making a video responding to him. Although Martimer went ahead and said, screw you, and made the video and made the guy look like an idiot. So, awesome.
Yeah. To me, in my opinion, the worst one is actually that right there in the chat is Skeptic Pork's thing. So if you have not subscribed to him, please do. He needs all the subs he can get. He is at I made a boo-boo. He's at 126, and I thought I was subbed to him, and I wasn't. So sorry, Skeptic. I thought I was.
I'm leaving. I can't associate with you anymore.
Hey, I'm subbed now. I watch his videos, so I mean, I love his videos.
Yeah, it's one of those things where half the time, because the videos make the rounds by other means than the sub box, because that's how you're going to find out that channels exist. Or that videos have been posted even to the channels you do subscribe. I won't bitch about YouTube.
Yeah, like with me, a lot of times I'll catch like Skeptic Pork. I'll see his videos in the suggested bar because I watch a lot of their videos. I watch a lot of the other atheist YouTubers, so I see them there, and that's usually where I click on it. So I don't even think about the subscription part. Like, I thought I was.
I will actually give YouTube some credit. The recommended, not the recommendeds on your homepage, but the recommended suggestions while you're watching videos have improved a lot from where they were a year ago.
Oh yeah,
they're almost back to where they were 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yes, compelled. I know. I'm horrible. I'm bad cap. I agree. I am for not being subscribed. But yes, if you have not, please go check him out. He is a really, really smart guy, really great YouTuber, makes great videos.
Compelled. To answer a point brought up in the chat, when you press the stupid little bell that's supposed to give you a notification every time a video is uploaded, they've modified the bell so you have a choice between getting notifications sometimes and notifications all of the time. So you have to kind of figure out how to set that. It's been long enough since I had that problem that I don't remember where to go to tell it that, yes, when I click the damn bell, it means let me know every damn time.
Yeah. Yeah, so I wish I could help you.
But there it is.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I saw one, I think it was Miss Snarky earlier, was asking, what is the meaning of life?
The meaning of life is to eat, drink, and be merry, because tomorrow we may be dead.
Oh, here I thought it was 42.
Well, no, that's the answer to the greatest question of life.
Okay, excuse me. Yeah. My bad. Yeah.
The answer to the question of, I forget exactly how they worded it, but they made the mistake of,
it's the answer to the life, universe, and everything.
Yes.
Yeah, any other questions in the
So I see Compelled Believer has pointed out that God, a common argument or rebuttal, as it were, is God exists outside of space and time. And how do I address this claim? And that, I tend to go towards the same answer as Matt Dillahunty does. That is a nonsensical statement. Existence is a temporal spatial concept. There is no such thing as existing outside of time and space. Existing when and existing where, unless you can answer those. And saying outside of time and space is a nonsensical response.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
I actually love to turn that one around on them because I've had several people use it, and when they do, I ask them, "Are you sure you want to stand by that statement?" I make sure that they want to before I go and I use this. But my response is to it, okay, so your God exists outside of space and time, correct? And they go, yeah. I go, okay. So your God, so you are fully admitting right now, your God does not exist in space and time. Therefore, your God exists at no place and at no time. Therefore, by definition, your God does not exist. And you just admitted to it.
Yep.
So welcome to being an atheist. And the looks on people's face when you pull that one, because you are not twisting what they said. You are taking exactly what they said.
Now, there is a better way for the theist to say it, but it relies on a completely different philosophical foundation, and it's the classical theist approach of saying that God does not exist. He subsists. He is subsistent existence itself, and it's really wishy-washy.
Oh, that sounds like word salad.
And you are absolutely correct, compelled unbeliever. They really do want to have their cake and eat it too, and they'll switch between the nature of God as is convenient. Mm-hmm. Even the classical theists do this, and they hate it when you call them on it and point out that they do believe in a personal God, not a first cause style subsistent existence God that they claim to believe in. Because a God that doesn't interact in space and time and is not personal doesn't care about you by definition.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
and you can only get to deism with classical theism.
Yeah, and like I said, that's like I said, it's the best one on there that you would probably be able to ever convince me of. But before we get going, I just want to say bye, Heat Shield. Thanks for dropping by. But here's one for you that you like to ask. It's fun to hear the answers and what people say and why. But if you were to become religious right now, what religion do you see yourself possibly joining?
Jainism.
Okay, and why?
Because the Jains start with evidence-based approaches. They don't necessarily believe in any kind of a supernatural deity, God, doohickey. So it's more of an ethical position than anything else. Although I probably couldn't stand the diet, so I might have to rethink this one.
Oh yeah, are they the ones that you can't like?
They are very, very don't hurt shit.
Yeah, like they're like veganism extreme.
So now that I can't eat meat, I'll have to change that answer over to Mormonism so I can have more than one wife.
Okay, I actually, if I answer that one for me would be if I was by Mrs. Snarky, I would say probably atheistic Buddhism would probably be where I just got a few issues. Like my issue with Buddhism are reincarnation, and the whole suffering and pain is necessary type thing. Some of the ways that I've heard word is just it's hard for me. So that's be the one that I probably wouldn't,
Take care, Mrs. Snarky. We love you.
Bye. Love you. And don't forget, I will have her on the 30th next week, Saturday. So everybody tune in for that one later. But yeah, I'm not really seeing chat. You got any more questions? I really don't have any more. If not, I think that might be it for the interview. We'll just wait and see if the chat has any more to come up with. So.
I guess they got nothing. I mean, I went through the Jeopardy thing and everything.
Yeah, I'm not really seeing too many more. I think that might have been it. Let me scroll up, see if I missed any.
Nobody cares about me.
And well, 11 people are watching, so 11 people care. I'm not really seeing too
Yeah, I'm
many.
hunting for question marks myself.
Yeah, I don't really see any unless you see when I missed it. If I'm not seeing it, so I think that might be it. So, thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Inane Dragon, for stopping by today. It was a real honor to have you on. If you have not subscribed to Inane Dragon, his link in the description is below. And I must ask, why have you not? Unless if you're like me and you didn't realize you were subscribed until you went to go put his channel into the description when you made the event. And because, like, say with Scepted Pork, I usually catch his videos in my recommended. So yeah, if you haven't, please do. If you think you are, please check because he deserves all the subs he can get. He makes great content, very smart guy. And again, it was a real honor to have you on.
You are too kind, sir. And thank you very much for having me on. And thank you to everyone who took the time to listen to what I had to say tonight.
All right. So I am subscribed to Inane Dragon. I did double check. I fixed that mistake when I put the channel link in the description. But thank you, everyone. Have a good day and good night, good morning, whatever time frame it is for you. This is Cat Brony signing out.